Welcome back to the podcast, episode 55 of We Need to Talk. And boy, do we need to talk. So, guys, I've had a little time on my hands, and I am living through everything you're living through, seeing everything you're seeing, being exposed to everything you're being exposed to. And so I kind of want to talk about it. I'm not talking about sides here. I'm talking about just what it is, what's going on. And you can't really not talk about it anymore because it's in your face every day. We are just being slammed with stuff. And it's just, if you get on the internet, social media, and scroll, and it's like, oh my God, what next? So overwhelming, overbearing, disturbing. I can't barely even watch. I actually have to scroll past the ice videos now of people filming the ice guys because they've gotten even more out of hand than they started with. And now they're just doing whatever the hell they want. It's super unsettling and something needs to be done about it. But what? I don't know. There's some things in motion, trying to get control again of things, but nobody knows where that's going. And, there's plenty of people that are going about their lives and going out to dinner and having their drinks and ignoring all this and laughing about it because it hasn't hit them yet. And it hasn't come to their yard and into their house or into their area yet. I feel bad for the people in Minnesota for sure. And there's just a lot of that. So it's just so much. And it's like, it's just getting crazy and stuff. So it's like every day you wake up, right? And maybe you have your coffee or whatnot. And most of us look at our phone or we watch the news. If you still watch the news, back in the day, people read the newspaper. My grandfather religiously read the newspaper every morning when he got up. Many people did. And now it's all about social media. And then, of course, those algorithms and all the crap going on with that, they're watching, they're listening, they're changing things depending on what you look at, what you comment on, which is also getting dangerous as well, right? Because now there's talk about them detaining people that are making comments against the current administration and what they're doing and all that kind of good stuff. So that to me is a little bit crazy. And it's not the world I grew up in, and it's not one I ever wanted to see. And so it's a little bit disturbing. So there's just so many things, but just on an average day, you wake up, have your coffee, and you start scrolling, and you're just being hit with this and that and this and that. So let's scroll. Let's just see an average day, right? Scrolling. Oh, yeah, we're going to start with him. Kash Patel, our FBI director. Yeah, so I'm sure you all saw that he spent somewhere between 75,000 and 100 grand to get on the FBI government plane and fly himself to Italy to drink beer and support the gold medal team over there. What was interesting about it is I'm sure all of you have seen the video by now because it's all over the internet. He's so crazed in the video in the locker room with the gold medal winners that he seriously looks like he was in a back room doing a rail before he went out there. And if you're not familiar with the slang, a rail would be a line of cocaine because he's just so animated and amped, and he's chugging the beer and he's banging on the table. And it's like, okay, that's our FBI director. And what is he doing there anyway? Because currently with what's going on in Mexico, the cartel has fought back because they took out their leader. And they went into the tourist areas, as you probably saw. We all saw it probably on the news. They have lit restaurants on fire. I've got a couple friends, John and Lori Rittenauer, that were down there in Puerto Vallarta and kind of in the middle of it. They're okay. But tonight was the first night they were able to get to a restaurant and actually have something to eat. But it's a little war zone going on down there. And meanwhile, our FBI director is, partying with the gold medal winners and using the government plane, and we're paying the taxes for that. That's always nice to wake up to in the morning, scrolling. Then we get to this guy, who I'm a huge fan of. I see this today. So apparently Jelly Roll is being looked at in a different light because he was always kind of known for saying he's not into politics and this and that, and that he doesn't pick a side and he doesn't talk about politics and stuff like that. Then he came out, I guess, as recently as yesterday and said, or he said something a couple of weeks ago about, I'll say something at some point. But here he is hanging out with the Trumps. You can see him with Donald Trump and his son there, having a good old time. And of course, Mr. Kid Rock, and of course, the Speaker of the House there. And there's Jelly Roll. So people are having a problem with that, right? And I'm a big fan of his too, but it just goes to show you that money goes to money and people will come together. And it's really just all about money, isn't it? I mean, this is nothing new with our government. It's just probably at a state right now that it's never been close to ever in the history of the United States. So I guess it's a little unsettling for some people. So two things right there, scrolling by this morning, and I was like, okay, man, that's a great way to start the day, right? Scrolling. Here we go. Let's see. Let's scroll this one. Okay, I want to talk about this. Now, I know everybody's talking about it, and I'm not going to go on and on about it, but I was curious to know where the Epstein files came from. Like, literally, I was thinking today, I was like, well, are these files that Jeffrey kept on everybody, and then the FBI and the DOJ and all that got a hold of them and this and that? I mean, how did that all work? So, I mean, if you look it up and you look up Epstein files on Wikipedia, it says the Epstein files are a partially released collection of millions of documents, images, videos, and emails detailing the activities of an American financier and convicted child sex offender, Jeffrey Epstein, including his social circle of public figures, politicians, and celebrities. The files include documents collected as evidence in the criminal cases against Epstein and his associates, stored over 300 gigabytes of data alongside their other media in the FBI's Sentinel case management system. They include Epstein's contact book, flight logs, his planes, his court documents. Many of the records and files belong to Epstein's estate, which is run by lawyer Darren Indyke and accountant Richard Kahn. Okay. In November of 2025, the U.S. House of Representatives passed the Epstein Files Transparency Act, and the U.S. Senate unanimously approved it, with President Trump signing the bill into law the next day. The following month, the U.S. Department of Justice released a relatively small amount of files, leading to criticism from both major parties of the U.S. Trump had previously floated the idea of releasing the files during the 2024 presidential campaign. He later said that controversies surrounding the files were fabricated by members of the Democratic Party. So that's where they come from. There are all these things, and there's so many of them. You can go yourself and look up the Epstein files online. There are so many. And that's why you hear some of these people investigating those files now more than ever, talking about how they sat for 5 hours today and went through more of them. So if you look them up, you'll see what they're talking about, because there is a little PDF of each thing in there, and you literally have to click and open each one to see what it is. And some of them are pictures, some of them are emails, obviously, and lots of other little things. But you can do it yourself, and you can see how many there are. I mean, there's a flood of them. Okay, and listen, here's the thing. There's also a lot of pictures floating around, okay? For instance, like this one here with the president and these little girls here. Jane Smith put this up. And she says it's not AI. Don't even think of calling it that. But anyway, there's a lot of these kind of things being put up. And with those kind of things, people are AIing other things. Please stop doing that, because when you do that, we are already screwed in our heads because we're being thrown at so much, right? And every time the you know what gets deeper, they announce something crazy that they're going to do that tries to distract you from all this stuff that's coming out. My personal opinion is the problem is a lot of the foreign countries, they have the unredacted files. Why do they have them unredacted? I don't know, but apparently they do. And they're threatening to share them because they're actually taking people. I mean, they took Prince Andrew. There's a couple other dignitaries in other countries that have been arrested per their relationship to the Epstein files. So, somebody's going to roll, somebody's going to rat. And eventually, I personally think a hardcore real video that cannot be detested is going to come out. And it's finally going to be like, whoa, there it is. You cannot deny what you're seeing there. They still will, probably, right? Because they deny everything, They're not doing anything about a lot of things that something needs to be done about. The DOJ is not working for the American people anymore. They are part of the administration for sure. And you got Congress, right? Hopefully the Senate's going to change and something will change there, but they're not even listening to federal judges. They're ignoring the entire system. And if you don't think that's dangerous, then you're not very smart, because that's really, really dangerous. Now, listen, I'm not naive enough to think that the whole damn government isn't corrupt. They are. Both sides, they want something for something, right? It's kind of just at this point, how far they're willing to go and what they're willing to do. And how does it affect you as an American citizen living in the United States, right? We need to talk about these detention centers. They're spending billions of dollars buying up these warehouses, and they're talking about, trying to hold like 10,000 people in each facility, and they're buying them all over the United States. This one here, I want to say, I can't remember where they said this one is. It just came out this week that they purchased this one. You got to be concerned about that, though, because everybody's, getting disappeared or whatever. But if you watch the ICE videos and the things that they're doing, it's so hard to watch. It just makes you crazy, and it takes your breath away, and you're like, wow, what is going on, kind of thing. So let's talk about some other stuff that goes along with that, because there are things about these detention centers like Alcatraz Island out there in Florida and things like that. There are things that people are not listening to that have happened. Like, for an example, okay, this comment here, as I was scrolling, says, one of the first things they did while building that death trap was to bring in 2 incinerators with no one looking, burn some up, dump others hogtied off of the cargo plane right into the ocean. Perfect disposable sites. Okay, they do have 2 incinerators at that Alcatraz Island. They have also installed some incinerators at the New Mexico site. And this new detention center is probably going to have them too. So, it doesn't take a brain surgeon for you to wonder why they need an incinerator. Not to burn the garbage, you guys. Okay? That's crazy. If you look at the Epstein files, the real stuff, no AI bullshit, in his emails, and how much sulfuric acid he was ordering for that island over there, it is phenomenal. It's the whole Jeffrey Dahmer thing. You only need sulfuric acid to get rid of human bones. So I don't know. I'm like you. I'm seeing the same thing you're seeing, and deciphering whether what's true and what isn't, or actually researching it. And now I'm starting to research it to make sure what's factual and what isn't. But you got to be concerned about that, incinerators and sulfuric acid and shit like that. I mean, come on now. Or are you just going to sit there and eat your dinner and watch, watch your favorite show while this is going on and not think that something bad is coming? So why do they need that stuff? It's very, very, very disturbing. And then throwing them off the cargo planes, hogtied. I have no doubt in my mind that our government has not done that. And not just in this case, but in a lot of other cases. So, you want to talk about all the foreign countries and all the horrible things they do to their people. We're doing them too. You're just not seeing it, So you got to put all this stuff together and go, what the hell, right? So here you go. This guy was talking about it right here. Same thing, the 2 incinerators, right? And dropping them into the ocean. And I was watching another commentary on this, and that kind of stuff is just stuff that has to make you go, wait a minute. You know what I mean? The New Mexico Epstein investigation could end up being Trump's worst nightmare. This came out today. I was scrolling by this, and basically what's happening is they are investigating that facility now, and they are investigating the kind of stuff that went on there and all that good stuff. They've got a couple people, one guy in particular that used to work with the ICE people, and he is a whistleblower. Now, he came out tonight, and he's saying that Christine Nome and all those guys were telling them to ignore the Constitution and do what they say and this and that. Well, he resigned, and he's probably got a mark on his back now because of that stuff. So, I mean, it's just stuff you got to be really, really careful with. Some of the comments under this stuff about the incinerators and all that was right here on Facebook under the post that somebody put. And people say, well, look here, I'd be shocked if there were burial sites. They had acid and incinerators. See, they already knew this. 8 hope when they find the bodies, there's still some DNA to get them all. Why isn't New Jersey conducting an investigation? So things like this just make you go, well, you know what they make me do? They make me go scroll because it's just too much. But then you do, and you get this. Another one. Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump have more pictures together than my dad. Well, I got to tell you something. That's not an untruth. I forget how many thousands of times he's mentioned in those files, him and Milena. And now they're pulling in people like Tom Hanks and all these people you would never think. And I'm not saying they're not in it, but just because they went there does not mean they were involved in any rituals. And then here's the other thing that trips me out. I'm like, so the eating of babies, the raising of children. I have seen a couple of the videos from the actual Epstein files when you search them and you're looking at files where there have been people choking little girls and things like that. And you can see it for a half second. You can't see who the guy is, of course, because they've redacted it. And those are legitimate ones. So something was going on there for sure. And, with children that small, obviously it's a big damn deal. But it's just too much. So when you think about this and how many pictures they've had together, how many times he's on the call log, he's not the only one, of course, but he is currently our president. So that's a problem. Okay, that's even worse in my book. Scroll again. What do we get? A lot of the same stuff. Here's one that says the damage from Trump's tariffs is done. Inflation is up 15,000. Farms are bankrupt. 1.1 million American laid off. Record small businesses are bankrupt. Worldwide boycotts of American products are starting. Canceled investments in trade partners abandoning us for China. Republicans in Congress could have stopped this from day one, but instead they let Trump inflict total destruction on our economy with a policy everyone with a brain knew was psychotic. Well, there's definitely a lot of that that's happened, and definitely a lot of it that went on. And I mean, you just kind of have to just be like, yeah, because we're watching it every day. I mean, you can pull it up every day, your low, wherever you get your news from, and you see it, and there's more and more and more. and then they'll throw something in there really, really crazy. And in the beginning, I bit on a lot of that stuff because I was like, wow, is this true? Did this person do this? And then I researched it and found out some of that stuff was BS. So, but a lot of it is there. A lot of it is real. People need to stop messing with it, stop using AI and making films and things that aren't real, because how the hell are we supposed to really find out what was going on there? Because you're jacking around with the system and you're jacking around with us. People are already at unrest in our country. So by all you guys doing that, you're really messing with everybody's head, and it's just not cool. Now, I do dig the hackers. The hackers are cool because they can hack into stuff and remove things and see things that we can't. So we have hopes from the hackers that maybe they peel something open that really takes the toll and does the job. So we can only hope for that. That's for sure. And then you had people saying, well, hey, why is no one in the media asking why the hell Jared Kushner is functioning as a U.S. diplomat in Russia, Ukraine, Israel, and now Iran? You all know who he is, right? That's Trump's daughter's husband. He was part of the first administration with Trump and his whole family. And he's been secretly running around behind this whole thing the whole time, soaking up money, doing all kinds of shit. But do we have time to look at him? No, because there's so much other crap going on. So you know what you do? You strolling. I should also mention that today was the day they were supposed to release the entire existence of what was left of the Epstein files, which they did not do. They did release more of them today. The DOJ, and almost every single page, you guys, was redacted. 119 pages of the files they released, like they were supposed to, unredacted. Every one of them was blacked out. If you go onto the site and you look, they're all blacked out. That's how much shit's on there they don't want us to see. My thing is, why did you even release it? You're not obeying any of the Supreme Court judges or federal judges rules and stuff, or the Constitution. So why even release it if you're just going to give us pages that have been blacked out so we can't read what we need to really know? But as it is, that's how we're living. So this here is from a Resistance Magaziner here. It was on, I believe, an Instagram post. It's a family of U.S. citizens that were talking about their ordeal, who were out to get groceries. When they arrived, they could see there was a chaotic situation in the parking lot. They turned their vehicle to leave, and at that point, the agents sprayed pepper spray out of their vehicle and into the driver's side window of his family's vehicle. And they said, is it proper procedure to aim pepper spray into the window of a moving vehicle? Whoever they're talking to here says no. And then it says, were any of your agents investigated or disciplined for this? So I'm assuming the Scott guy was the interview with the ICE team and stuff. So we've heard a bunch of stories about that, right? The little kids are getting sprayed in the car. I mean, they're yanking the little kids around like little rag dolls anyway. So it's those kind of stories and those kind of things that makes us feel unsafe in our world. And we shouldn't have to feel unsafe, especially not from our own people. You know what I'm saying? It's difficult to comprehend the level of state-sponsored criminality we are witnessing because our country has never experienced anything like it. It is also difficult to absorb because it's happening so quickly and on so many different fronts. In the words of the 2022 movie, it sometimes feels like everything, everywhere, all at once. And that can be exhausting, numbing, and overwhelming. And that comes from James Spire. And he says this is the most powerful crime syndicate in history. And this is what we're talking about, because they're also saying, I hear people talking and saying they're trying to desensitize us. Well, it kind of makes sense, right? I mean, like I said, you don't have to be a brain surgeon to figure this out, but it's working so well on so many people. And they've done this stuff before in history. in other countries, and probably in ours in a little bit their own way, which is a lot less aggressive than what we're seeing now. But the desensitizing, see, the more crappy shit that they show you to upset you, you start to become desensitized, right? And then it's like, well, that was bad, but now I've seen something even worse. So that one wasn't so bad. I mean, it's all part of the game, and that's what they're trying to say. I see that a couple of the Olympic folks have decided not to visit the White House after being invited by the president. I think there was another team tonight that announced that. You had the Seattle Seahawks decline the White House visit. They're refusing to go there after their big Super Bowl win. So things like this, you never saw that before. I mean, people would be stoked to be able to go there. But, honestly, there's not too many people who would want to go visit there anymore, except, I don't know, maybe Kid Rock I don't know. It's crazy. Scrolling. So as we scroll, we come to this story, which I want to talk about. McDonald's restaurant change, a massive new McDonald's burger is coming and fans are starving for it. So it's interesting, right? Because I'm sure if you've seen everything I've seen about the cannibalism, the raising of the kids, they even said something, you guys, about, and we were talking about this, I was talking about with my mother-in-law the other day. They were saying that when they eat the babies, they taste like cream cheese because they're little, and something about the consistency. It's just disgusting. And you think to yourself, well, that's ridiculous. Nobody's doing that. Guess what? That's not new. Cannibalism has been around for years, a long time. But the part that bothers me about this is they are saying that McDonald's hamburgers are made with human meat and human skin and things like that. And that's the only one that I've heard of all the stories of the Epstein thing, with the food and stuff and eating stuff like that. Apparently, here's the new burger from McDonald's. Let's look at it. McDonald's Big Arch Burger is rumored to finally make its way to the U.S. after appearing on overseas menus. The burger is described as 2 quarter-pounder patties, 3 slices of white cheddar, 2 types of onion, and a new Big Arch sauce. Fans in the comments are hyped to try it, with reports pointing to an early March rollout. Well, after all this stuff with the cannibalism thing on the island over there, I don't know if you've all researched any of that, but it's not just 1 or 2 people that were talking about this and their rituals and what they did and what they ate and how it was prepared. And dude, it's detailed, and it's like, it's not a dream. Like I said, McDonald's, I think I'm staying away from there for a while, and maybe some other places too. I mean, come on, with all that fast food, I'm starting to look at it differently. Pick open a chicken nugget and look at it real good. You tell me. I don't know. Scrolling. And of course, Mexico, we were just talking about the cartel taking over. This is a shot from inside a grocery store down there, I think near Puerto Vallarta. I believe this was last night. Mexican cartel targets a grocery store filled with shoppers. The CJNG cartel is pulling a rare move, going after citizens and tourists across Jalisco, including tourists in hotspots like Puerto Vallarta, after the Mexican military and U.S. forces took out their leader. So that happens, right? And they're doing that. And like I said, our FBI director's taking a plane with our tax money out to drink beer and party with the gold medal winners while we're on the brink of this kind of shit. It just doesn't make sense. Shouldn't he be here doing his job? Yes, he should. I don't know. That guy creeps me out anyway, just looking at him and stuff. That whole cartel thing, though, you're going to see a lot more develop from that. We've got a lot of enemies kind of right now, and there are people already threatening us. So I keep trying to tell everyone, we got to pay attention. you better collect yourself and your things and have a plan, because one morning you're going to wake up and it's not just going to be that everyday morning. We're all going to be stunned like a deer in fucking headlights, wondering what the hell to do. You cannot not absorb all of this information and not know what's coming. Because, and of course, we pray it doesn't come to that. But hey, at this point, who knows? And of course, the reminder keeps showing up on social media when you stroll. Any member of the government who violates the U.S. Constitution is supposed to be removed from government, not warned, not voted out, arrested, and removed. We know that, but these guys don't do anything, you know. They don't listen to anything. They're not abiding by anything. The Constitution, nothing. We've already said that. We've seen it. It's been proven. And everyone has said this, and I'll say it again. And it's not, I don't care what side you're on. It ain't a side anymore. It hasn't been a side for a while. It's about our country, right? Not about how you vote or not about what side you're on of voting. Who cares? It's about who can provide us with the best, right? Is this really the best? You got to be kidding me. No, it's not. So disturbing and scary. And when that happens, I scroll. Yep. Now, just to throw in something else, because we need a little laugh here. You see this guy here? This is how uptight people are. And it seems like people have gotten more and more uptight than they used to be. So there's a guy mowing his lawn without his shirt off there, or with his shirt off. And his neighbor has posted this on Instagram, and then she writes this post. To my neighbor that thought it was okay to mow the lawn shirtless in a residential neighborhood, I've already contacted the police. This is not a beach. This is not a gym. This is a neighborhood with families and kids walking around. I don't care if it's hot. Put a shirt on. We have basic standards for a reason. Broad daylight, right out in the open. Like this is completely normal behavior. Have some decency and some respect for those people who live around you. This is unacceptable. So here, wait. Here's what cracks me up about this. She's a full-on Karen, right? But you got to see the comments. Look. So here's the comment. This first thing of comments says, okay, Karen, right? Then you go down, what does it say? Please do the whole world a favor and shut the fuck up. And this guy, Rick Gray, says that she's jealous because he has bigger breasts than her. Oh my gosh. And then the second set of comments killed me too. It says, this lady Shannon puts, this wasn't so bad when dad did it. It was embarrassing when mom did it though. Yeah. Right? Please remove your head from your rectum and have your neighbor and leave your neighbors alone. This is one of the many reasons why we have curtains in our homes. Close them and go about your day. And the last comment by Kimberly Smith Cole says, you've got to be kidding me. That's the funniest and most ridiculous thing I've read all day. Get a life. Okay, so people are uptight, and there's lots of Karens. And there's a lot of that going on. And I'm seeing more of it. There's all kinds of reels. That's another thing. Oh my God, when you get stuck in that reel thing, right? You hit one reel and you're like, oh, that was funny. So let me see what the next one is. Oh, that's horrible. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, there's ice beating the shit out of somebody. Oh, there's ice shooting somebody to death. Oh, fuck, that's funny. That's a good one. You just can't stop. And you're scrolling and you're scrolling and you're scrolling. So let's scroll. And then next we come up on this one. This came out, I think, yesterday. It says breaking news, Thomas Masicki, after seeing unredacted Epstein files, took to social media to make clear that if he dies in the next few days, it's neither by his own hand or by natural causes. Now, I'm going to tell you something. A lot of podcasters and a lot of people reporting on ICE's behavior and filming them And a lot of people just reporting are starting their reports with that kind of language. They're saying, hi, my name's Chuck Oliveris. Just so you know, I would never harm myself and I would never blah, 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 because they're taking people out. I read a story the other day that came out of the administration talking about how they're going to start monitoring social media. And if you say anything that doesn't agree with the administration, they are going to detain you. And you may think that's funny and far-fetched, but it's not. Why do you think they are buying up all these warehouses that fit thousands and thousands of people? They only want people that agree and comply. And I'd be okay with that if they were doing great things for us, but they're definitely not. So I'm not okay with that. Example here, a house in South Carolina burns down from a judge who had just ruled against Trump administration on a request of theirs. Now, the thing with this is there's been a lot of this too. There's been a couple people that have come up against the administration and all of a sudden, they tripped down the stairs. Their house caught on fire. I mean, these are not coincidences when there are that many. And there's been a lot of those as of late. Keep your mind open to that. So when you see it, you're like, oh shit, there's another one. Oh shit, there's another one. I mean, I may be next. Who knows? Luckily, I'm more than half dead here. So I'd be like, whatever. I'm still going to be like, do it. Let's talk about this. Republican Congressman Thomas Massie, he's the one we just saw there, says he enrages MAGA world by exposing Trump to UFO post as nothing more than a desperate attempt for distraction. Okay, well, you have to say to yourself, probably, because we're in it, like this whole podcast is all about a day in the life for me and the social media and what it's doing to our minds and our world and our hearts and our souls. And, so all this horrible shit going on. And then when it gets close to them coming up with something very valid that they're going to pin on these guys, they're like, I'm going to release the UF files. Reminds me of, what is it? Not Wayne's World. What is it? Mike Myers, when the lady says, release the sharks. It's like whatever they have to do to make you go, what? And look that way. And now we've forgotten about that. So, and this meme is floating around too. Distraction event. Stay focused on crimes against children. Definitely distractions. And that's why, all the promises about we're going to send every American $2,000, $2,000 check, the Doge thing, we were all supposed to get money. I mean, they're definitely distractions. And then when he was asked about it, when President Trump was asked about that $2,000 thing just today, he said, I don't remember ever saying anything about sending Americans $200 check, $2,000 checks, 200, whatever. So you figured it out on your own, right? By the way, they have released just one picture from those UFO files today, which we got a hold of, and I'll show you that right now. And as you can see, they have redacted it. Well, I mean, that's what it would be, right? Okay, scroll. Department of Justice was reportedly caught deleting evidence that sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell was in possession of. And there were 3 interviews that could possibly be used as blackmail over President Trump and were not released to the general public. We know about this already, right? We all heard about this already. 3 cases, and they pulled that shit. They pulled it at the last minute before anybody could get to it. So, again, not surprised. Biggest cover-up in the history of the United States. Watergate wasn't even close to this, and that was pretty damn big at the time. It's a lot. It's a lot of stuff, and that's all I'm asking you to do is just look at this and go, what? We used to have pretty days and quiet days and stuff, but I guarantee you, each and every one of us, our days are not going to stay quiet. There's going to be more coming, and maybe in the form of civil war, being attacked. I mean, we're we're exposed big time right now in a really, really unsettling way. So, and then you got the Iranians. The Iranian hackers say that they've got Trump footage with minors, and they're threatening that if he strikes them, they're going to release it. Well, like I said, some of the other countries have received these files. They have hackers just like we do, but their hackers are probably better, and they've probably gotten into more of those files than anybody has. So they may have something there. And that's something to think about. And like I said, until somebody, actually shows the American people one of our administrators up there in the White House, any of them, on top of a small child, they probably won't do anything about it. And I'm hoping that's not the case, but I just feel like that's where we're at. And the thing that bothers me is I don't even know how at this far, even with the ICE guys, that people can still support that, especially military people, when there's 5-star generals and things coming out saying they don't approve of this, that it's wrong, it's against the Constitution. But yet I'm actually seeing more and more military guys come out and speak against it because they know it's wrong. They're even going out and confronting the ICE guys. I mean, these guys went to war for us and stuff. So when I see someone in the military that does support this regime or whatever you want to call it, I have to shake my head and go, wow, what kind of military person were you? Because this is definitely not the way it should be. So you got to just look at that. Scrolling. Then we find out about this. Everybody's talking about voter fraud and everything. It turns out there was voter fraud in Georgia by Elon Musk. So they did this investigation. They raided his place. You guys all saw that on the news. Voter fraud was found in Georgia linked to Elon Musk founded PAC by state election board sending pre-filled absentee ballot applications in 2024. We also already knew this. Okay, we all knew this. They're trying to do it again. And I think that this next meme here makes more sense than anything, right? Because funny how our voting systems worked so well for 44 presidents and suddenly went bad when Donald Trump lost an election. Right? It worked before. It just makes you want to say, scroll. Gotta scroll. Who's involved with this thing? You guys, it goes beyond all kinds of stuff. There's all kinds of people involved in this whole Epstein thing cover up. Craig Scott Valdez here, staffer for the Alaskan Republican state senator, arrested on child sex trafficking charges involving 12 children. This gentleman here, at some point he was invited over to the island, which is why I'm telling you all this, to participate in sacrifices. That was the breaking point, was children. I couldn't do that. I started to break down. I lived through quite a lot as a child myself, and this really touched me deeply. I forget who he is. I thought I had his name on this thing, and I'm sorry I don't have it there, but he just resigned as well from his position because of all that stuff. So it's just everywhere. I mean, you're going to see stuff everywhere. This one tripped me out the other day. This is Victoria's Secret founder. You've heard about him, Les Wexner, allegedly confirmed that Jeffrey Epstein worked with the Rothschilds family and has ties to Jeff Bezos. The remarks shed light on Epstein's connection to some of the world's wealthiest and most influential figures, raising new questions about the scope of his network. The interview grew tense when Wexner's lawyer was filmed threatening him with violence if he answered any further questions with more than 5 words. The incident has sparked controversy and intensified scrutiny over Epstein's relationships, highlighting the shadowy intersections between power, wealth, and secrecy. This was an interesting thing. The guy didn't know the mic was hot, his lawyer, and he leans in and he tells the old man, I will fucking kill you if you answer one more question with more than 5 words. And it was actually 3 words. They have it wrong there. So, here's an old guy that's blowing the whistle because he's on the hot seat. And That's what his attorney tells him. We need to even know anymore. Unfortunately, we're going to. There's still more coming. And this was just kind of a quick recap on how I feel every day scrolling through my phone. And it's like, you got to stay away from it for a minute. It's going to come back and it's still going to bite you because it's there. It's everywhere. And the world is even more divided on it than it used to be. Well, a little less now. I'll say that. So that's kind of a good thing. But in the end, it's like some of the people I love dearly are still all on board for this. And it's like, how can they be? I don't know. But sadly to say, I feel like they're going to find out the truth real soon. And it's going to become personal because it's going to hit right at home. And it's going to come right to their front door. And then they're going to be like, wow. But what can you do at that point? Nothing, right? Scroll. Best advice of all right here. Karma doesn't rush. It watches. It lets people believe they've won, that their actions had no consequences. And when the moment is right, it responds with perfect timing. No drama, no warnings, just the outcome that they earned. Right? Hope. Let's hope. I wish everybody well. I wish everybody safety, health, and I pray in the end, when all this is at rest, at least somewhat, that we all make it through without too much trauma, because there's already been a lot of that already, and things have gotten so bad. What else can we say about it? Nothing, I guess. Episode 55 is over.